What is going on, everyone? This is kiodiekin. Hope you guys are all having a great evening. How are you fellas doing tonight? Thank you for joining me at such a late notice. I was actually planning on going live last night, but I knocked out. I've been out of town last week. I was jet lagged. And then, of course, I was at Red Apple Fireworks big demo in Nevada just a couple of days ago. And so I have some information that I definitely want to share with all of you. Groundbreaking, late breaking. A lot of people said it couldn't be done, and we have it here. So I was actually intending on showing this off last week, but I was busy. So there have been a lot of new developments going on right now with the Sinden Lightgun. And I know I still haven't done a full tutorial because I've been looking at a lot of different things going on right now. So before I get into the big news in regards to what's going on with the Sinden Lightgun, I just want to give you guys some overall clarification. There've been a lot of news information recently, a lot of misinformation being put out into the community. And so I just want to give you guys my 2 cents on it. First and foremost, excuse me. First and foremost, I do know that the Sinden Lightgun started to appear in people's homes around September, October of last year. I got mine's. Andy sent me one. I think it was September 11th, something like that. and I didn't get it till December. Consequently, there was one particular review that was put out using one of the base images that I worked on, Supreme. I think it was Supreme Pro. Yeah, it was Supreme Pro. And I'm just here to let you guys know that that review was totally fabricated. Okay. Up until just a few days ago, you really couldn't use the Sinden Lightgun on Supreme Pro or Ultra because it has different retro art cores compared to what the hairy bare bones image uses as far as the patch and so forth. I know you guys are probably wondering what video it is. There's not too many out there that uses Supreme Pro or uses any type of Supreme image, but I'm letting you know that that video was totally fabricated. I know the timestamps that it was putting out, and so there are some things there, but I'm just letting you know that that was totally fabricated in that review in regards to the Pi working on the Pi 4 with that particular base image. So with that being said, the reason why I have the PC version of the Sinden Lightgun software in front of me is before I show you guys what potentially could be coming out. I don't know how soon, but I know a lot of you don't have the Sinden software and you don't have the gun. So, quick recap: this is the Sinden software. I have it off because I don't want it interfering with my mouse. And so let's take a look at the configuration really quick. So as you guys know, this is where you go to update your firmware. You have your configuration. This is where you can adjust your contrast, your brightness, your exposure, your zoom, your saturation, your white balance. This is your camera resolution, 6040 by 480. In fact, let me remove some of these notes here off of the screen. And then, of course, this is where you have your refresh your camera list. This is where you can adjust your X and Y axes. So you guys have watched any tutorials out there. You are familiar with how to adjust your Sinden Lightgun. Pretty easy, pretty simple. Everything is straightforward and everything is right here. This is what it typically looks like. And for those of you guys wondering, as far as the calibration, as far as setting up the Sinden Lightgun, it has three potential layers to set up your Sinden Lightgun. One, you have the software, which is what you're looking at. Two, you have the emulator. And then last but not least, you also have your PC mouse settings, which can affect how that mouse will corresponds with the game. I don't believe it affects all the emulators, but I do know that you have to adjust it with the PC mouse settings with Technoparative. For my official video, the first one that I actually did was Rambo. If you guys saw that brief clip of Pistolero, and then if you follow me on my social media on Facebook, I did post that first video of the surround gaming with the Sinden Lightgun using 3 monitors across. So I did have to adjust my mouse settings in order to make that work with Technoparative. So you have 3 different layers of adjustments and configurations that you need to adjust with the Sinden Lightgun. So a lot of devs and people in the community believe what I'm about to show you was impossible or is impossible, and you're going to see it today. Some brand new settings, and also too, I'm going to say this. I've seen comments in the groups where people have been telling people, "Hey, you need to put in the work," or Retropie and Sinden is not plug and play compatible. And I'm here to tell you that even with me, depending upon however you want to see my personal experience, it's been challenging. It has not been easy. Yeah, I know it's not plug and play. So having put out several images, working with the Pi, working with the devs, and working with programming, it has not been easy. All right. So for those of you who have been told that in the groups to stop being lazy or whatever the case might be, I have myself have found it challenging. Even working with the dolphin bar and some making several images. So it's not easy, and you can use my name if you want. It has not been a very easy task trying to get this thing to work with Retropie. There's been a lot of bugs, a lot of glitches, a lot of things that have been an oversight, because in order to say something works with Retropie, especially a light gun or hardware, it needs to be tested with every little possible emulator that's available for the system. You can't just make a haphazard statement and say it works, because Retropie is dependent upon the emulators which runs the games. It's not like PC, it's a little different. So with that being said, let me guys just go ahead and show you some of the new cases of menus that we have available. I'm going to go ahead and switch over now. All right, so here is Supreme Ultra Pistolero, and I decided to use this one because going through Venom had too many different menus. And then, of course, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn my camera on so you guys can see it. I have my camera on, and the purpose of me having my camera on is so you guys can see me actually moving the gun left and right while I show you guys this menu. So I've already done this, so I'm going to go ahead and reboot. I'm going to go ahead and turn it off, and I'm going to stand up in front of the TV so you guys can see what I'm about to show you. Just switching over now, have the gun in front of me. So one of the first features I definitely want to show you guys is the brand new auto start feature. And particularly this code, it only took, I think, a couple of minutes, and it's very simple. And I don't know why it was never integrated when the original software came out. But as you can see, this is Pistolero booting up. You guys are familiar with it. And so as soon as this it boots up, you guys will see I don't have to activate any features to get this to work. I'm going to go ahead and move around on the D-pad on the gun, which will verify that the auto start feature is working. So as you can see, I got it here with one hand, and as soon as the splash screen is done, you will see me navigate through the menus. Got both hands right here in front of me. So as you guys can see, the auto start feature is active, and there are a lot of features that can be plug and play compatible, and there are a lot of features that can be added to the Sinden Lightgun if you know what you're doing. So let's go ahead and take a look at the brand new Sinden menu from Supreme. This is the Supreme Sinden menu that right now I only have it. It's not public. This is the first time that you guys are taking a look at it. So let me go ahead and move this camera off so you guys can see the rest of the menu. And let's go down to Sinden menu. Now, I'm not going to play any games or do anything today. This is just a quick showcase of what the menu can do and what it looks like. The devs have really spent a lot of work on this, over 20 straight hours getting this done. And so I believe some people reached out showing some other people from the Discord and whatnot that it was possible. And people said, no, you're lying. It can't be done. All right, so here you go. Here's the first one. This is the Sinden controller Lightgun menu. This one is very similar to the original one that you guys may have seen on the Harry Barebones image and some other things. You have the Sinden Classic Lightgun menu. Let me go ahead and click on this. And so in here, you have your startup, you have your stop, you have your test screen, you have all those features there. You have your Sinden non-recoil Lightgun menu. So you have this menu here. And then, of course, you have your Sinden Recoil Lightgun menu. So this is if you want to turn on specifically your Sinden Lightgun, your recoil gun. Those features are available for you. And let me scroll down to, you can also turn on your basic borders. I've already done that. I'm not going to mess with it right now. This is the Sinden Lightgun Auto Start. So before I already booted up this video and was already playing around with it, you guys just saw me reboot the Pi didn't have to turn it back on. So as you can see, enable player 1 and 2 basic Sinden auto start. I could also disable it if I want to. And then of course, enable player 1 and 2 recoil Sinden auto start. So you have those options there for your recoil gun. Now, this is the reason why I showed you the PC software, so you guys could get a little bit familiar with what you have to do. If you guys have watched any of the Pi setup tutorials, a lot of that has been pretty much archaic. You shouldn't have to go into WinSCP, log in, and pretty much know how to create a Pi image just to get your gun to work. So with this particular menu, it allows you to do everything from your Retropie device without having to use WinSCP, without having to manually configure any README files or notepads or RetroArch CFGs, none of that kind of stuff. All that stuff is set up here. And in fact, a lot of the stuff that was that you could do with the gun, for example, changing exposure settings and whatnot, which is the reason why I showed you the PC software, they could be done, but there wasn't a menu for it. So let me go ahead and pull this up really quick. Let me go ahead and mute this. I think I got some music in the background playing. Oh, never mind. All right. So let's go down these options really quick. Sinden Lightgun serial port right default dev. You don't have to mess with that. Serial port secondary default value is 0. So if you guys are familiar with setting up your Sinden Lightgun, typically you have to change your default value. This registers your crosshair. So typically you want to either use 1, 2, or 3. You would have to enter that in on your notepad, on the README file, or on the RetroArch patch file that they created for you. You don't have to do any of that here. In fact, you could do it right here. Let's see if I want to make my value 2. I just hit enter on my keyboard. And then it changes the value to 2 or whatever it is I wanted to do. And I probably shouldn't have done that because it does log you out right after you do that. So let's go back into the menu. And I'm telling you guys, this has taken a lot of work. This is not something that just went over a few hours. All right, so here we have the Sinden Lightgun video device default is 0. Sinden Lightgun calibrate X and Y. Right now it's 0. If I did select 1, 2, or 3, it would log me out. But that automatically adjusts your crosshair. Now, for some of you, you're probably saying, "Oh, well, what does that really matter?" If you had your Sinden Lightgun right now and you're trying to calibrate this for the Pi, you know this is a big deal. So the Sinden team does not have this. This is not something officially made by them. One of the Supreme devs made this possible to work, and this will work with any image. So it doesn't need to be a specific image. Sinden Lightgun offset X and Y. You could change your value here. You don't have to go through WinSCP or log through any of those other archaic files. Sinden Lightgun offset ratio X and Y. You can adjust that here. More Sinden Lightgun offset gun set Y. You can change the variables here. You can change your color match, your RGB. So these are all the settings that you would typically find on your computer. The Sinden Lightgun gangster setting. This is where you can turn the gun to the side and act like you're a gangster. You can adjust the value here as well. So again, you guys are familiar with this on your PC settings. So you have all that here that you can adjust in a Retropie and not have to log in using WinSCP or anything like that. Your camera resolution. Obviously, there has never been a Retropie camera resolution on the Pi. You have that on, well, technically you did. I mean, the values are on there, but you would have to go in and change it manually through that little README file. So you have that there as well. Sinden Lightgun, save each frame to file. You have that. Off-screen reload. So pretty much all the features that you guys are familiar with on PC can now be changed here. Camera exposure auto. Camera exposure default value is 0. Camera brightness default value is 100. Camera zoom default value is 0. So there is roughly, I'm not, you know what, I'm not going to read all these because we'd probably be here all night, but I'll quickly scroll through some of these as far as the white balance, the blob size, anti-jitter, match only where pointing value, console output, button trigger default value is 51. pump action default value is 52. Front left, bear left, front right, bear right, button up, down left. So all those little variables that you guys are familiar with on the PC software, you do have it here. You have your trigger value, pump action mod, front left buttons, rear left button, rear right mod, up mod, down left, right. And then of course now there's 85 options in here, and right now we are only at number 49. Off button trigger off screen, pump action off screen, front left off screen, rear left off screen, front right off screen. So all the PC settings that you guys are familiar with are right here at the touch of your fingertips. No more do you have to go uh, through the Sinden Lightgun menu. So now we are on the second page. This is for the recoil options. You can adjust all of your recoil options here. And so there you go for all those options. I'm going to go ahead and back out. And let's see, I think we have some more configs in here as well. Color match RGB, color match gangster, color res. Yeah, this one's a separate menu. I think I may have already went through this one, but no. I have the same variables. I'll just keep scrolling. And then, of course, I'll monitor or look at the chat here in just a quick second. So just up until recently, I really, because I was trying to understand what was patched and how the Sinden Lightgun works or interacts with Retropie. And so come to find out, it wouldn't work with Supreme Ultra because the RetroArch version that Supreme Ultra was using is catered to, it's a different core and it works with Vulkan. The one that Andy made to work with the Sinden gun is an older version, and I believe that's also on Harry Barebones. And I think two plays base, I believe two plays base will work with that RetroArch core because the RetroArch cores are probably somewhat similar. However, the Supreme Ultra was a little different in terms of mapping the trigger because it's a different core and that patch file didn't recognize it. Now, I was able to get it to work by modifying it, and by modifying it, it did erase all of my RetroArch settings and then, of course, overall override the menu. But no, up until just a few weeks ago or so, it really wasn't possible unless some of you guys already knew how to, go ahead and do that. So pretty much that is the new Supreme Sinden menu. That is a huge step in the right direction for this piece of technology to get it to work. Again, this was something community made, just like most of the other Retropie builds that are out there. This was not something made by any official team or whatnot. So what are your thoughts? I know some of you may have questions right now. Let's see. Let's go back in. You want me to show the custom settings? So we'll go ahead and take a look at that really quick. Hey, what's going on, RGB or RGEB? And what's going on, Cali Pyro? Let's see, where are Sinden custom settings? Almost forgot about this. So you also have the Sinden Lightgun custom settings menu. So you can install the new updated patch. You can also uninstall it. You can also install the Sinden IR MAME 2016 version from source. They also install the IR Genesis Plus GX version. And you can also install the new MAME 2016 CFG files with MAME 2016 bezels from files. So those are some custom settings there that you can also add with this new menu. But this definitely changes the game as far as software integration and how the light gun works. Now, as you guys all know, the aim track isn't officially supported with Pi 4. Actually, it's not supported by Ultimark whatsoever. A dev in the community got it to work, but this is another step in the right direction to get this piece of technology working on Retropie. So let me see if there's any questions really quick in the chat. I think we only have about 4 people watching, but I'm really glad that this advancement has worked. Now, my next personal step is to test this with each additional emulators. And I know I haven't gotten around to this, but I have taken a look at the hairy bare bones image that they are offering on their official wiki page, what they claim is not official, but they're trying to make it official. I don't know. I'm a little lost in that translation with how that works. But with that particular image, it is a bare bones image. In fact, there's no ROMs on it, no video loading screens, no BIOS for a lot of the systems. I loaded Naomi ROMs on there. Obviously, they don't even show up. Sega Genesis, and I think it was either Sega Genesis or Sega Master System. That doesn't pop up as well. The community doesn't use stuff like that. You know, it's a nice image as far as settings, as far as getting the light gun to work. But the Sinden light gun is supposed to be universal. And obviously, there hasn't been a lot of videos out there showing how to use the Sinden software on a generic image or a pre-made image or a two-play image or a Supreme base. You just haven't seen it. And I don't believe that a lot of people involved are really familiar with Retropie, and that's why you need to have devs who or image makers who have been involved in the community really knowing what's going on, because they can fix it just like this, just like you guys are watching it today. So um yeah, so this is a great big announcement for Sinden in this direction. I will keep you guys updated as to the possible release of this, let you guys know what's going on. As of, well, I'll save that for a future video, but just wanted to showcase this tonight and let you guys know that this is possible, that this is working, that this is available, that this can be done. I don't know if the official team is planning on working on something themselves, but I do have this available. I will be doing some additional tutorials with this. The other thing that I do want to mention is I do have my Sinden light gun recoil gun hooked up. I did a firmware update tonight, but yesterday it wouldn't work or respond. Obviously, I can navigate using my D-pad and stuff, but I haven't seen any tutorials on the Sinden light gun or recoil working on the Pi. But I plugged it in and I couldn't get it working, so I will give it another shot, see what happens with that, so I can give you guys my final thoughts on that, as well as some other light gun tutorial news. So if you are new to Sinden, if you guys are looking to get your guns, I am telling you from somebody who is experienced. I've done a number of light gun tutorials, answering questions in the forums, making Pi images, going through. I have gone through uh the 2800 arcade games on Venom to make sure that they work or are compatible. Pistolero, so up until Pistolero, I don't think or know if anybody knew how many light gun games the Pi 4 or the Pi device could really run, because on Pistolero I think there's 165 games, and then on Venom there's 176. There's actually a little bit more because some games don't show up in the menu, but they are on the image itself. So up until that, nobody really knew how many RetroPie games or light gun games were compatible for the Pi, as far as I know. In fact, I believe that was the most comprehensive list, even up until now, even at this current date, as far as having guns on there. And so there's a lot of research that really needed to be done to get the Sinden light gun to work, because in order to say that the gun fully works on RetroPie, you need to know what games are supported and what emulators do you need. And so I can tell you there are about uh, out of the 176-ish games that are there that can run on RetroPie, there's about 75 arcade games that can run. And then there's, I think, 15 to 22 emulators needed to make it all possible. Now, there have been talks. I've seen people comment online saying that MAME 2010 and Final Burn Neo does not work or support light guns. And I'm not really so sure about that. I believe it is possible to do that, because I do know obviously the Dolphin Bar works over those interfaces, but it can be adjusted. You just have to know what you're doing and talk to the right people, as well as have a very good understanding of some of these retro art cores and these emulators. So far, do we have any questions in the chat? I know it's been kind of quiet tonight while I've been talking through all of this. Let me see here. Zane, you said something was misspelled. What's misspelled? Zap gun. Three items that need to give them. Oh, sweet. Just kind of going up through the chat for a second here, guys. Give me a second. Yeah, Evil Chicken, you can use Pistolero or Venom. In fact, if you've watched several of my previous videos, I was using Pistolero with the update. I got a better understanding of how it works, and so I mapped those files and configured it. But that's a hassle. I mean, even going through images and having to do that, an end user should not have to go through this amount of settings just to enjoy uh, their light gun. I mean, when I make an image, when we're working on the build, we're trying to make it as easy as possible, especially because a lot of you are not just, it's time consuming. You're building your arcade cabinet, you're testing settings, and then you're looking for a front end, and you're trying to get something as close to plug and play as possible. And as of right now, with how the Harry Barebones image is set up and the original setting or software setup for the Sinden Lightgun is, it is not user friendly. And I'm just telling you guys because I'm honest. It is not user friendly, and a lot of things, as you will see a lot of videos out there not showing you a robust number of games working across different emulators. If I took 5 NES games, that's still one emulator. That's nothing. Okay. You need to show NES, Genesis, Master System, Naomi, Arcade. What else is out there? What else is that? Genesis, and then of course the arcade set. You need about 5 or 6 different emulators to have all 75 possible light gun games work. So you need Final Burn Neo, MAME 2003, MAME 2010, MAME 2016, and I think MAME 2015 as well. So um, sometimes you may see a video where somebody may only have 3 or 4 games in a particular area or short. So my thing is, if it cannot work with those games, there's something seriously wrong, because those light gun games can work with a Wii Dolphin remote across those emulators. And I don't know if a lot of testing or research really went into that process to really say, hey, this really works, because you have a number of emulators that work across those games to make them possible. But by now, there should be a full list. And so if you guys are looking for a full list, you can look no further. Venom and Wolfenosis Image, Retromania, and Pistolero have the most compatible light gun games, period, on any image. I think before Pistolero, I think it may have been Supreme One Up, which was an image I made back in 2019. Had about 60, 61, 62 light gun games, something like that on there. And typically you only see about maybe 30, maybe 40, something like that, whatever. So yeah, this is a lot of homework, a lot of testing has gone into this. This is why I really haven't been putting up a lot of videos, because I spend a lot of time testing, and more testing. Lewis is asking me, will you be doing gun for IR in the future? Yeah, if I can get some hardware. I don't currently have it, and then of course I have to set aside time to do it. If you guys have not seen Kong's video, Kong's R Us, I went over to his house. I picked up this Recoil Sinden Lightgun, and then of course I got his gun working on the Pi 4. So um, I did use that on the NES emulator for Duck Hunt. It does work, but for me to safely say that it works on the Pi, I would need to at least test it with 1 or 2 games from each individual emulator, which is at least about 30 games. And there's roughly about 15, I said 15, maybe 22 emulators in total to run 176 light gun games. I also know that there are some complications with trying to get the Sinden Light Gun to work with 3DO, like so you could play games like Mad Dog McCree. That is a light gun game, and that game is possible to run with a Wii Dolphin remote. So if the Sinden Light Gun can't work, there needs to be some adjustments to make so that way it can be compatible with all light gun games in emulators across the board to make sure that it is compatible. So obviously that's not a problem on PC, because PC is more or less plug and play friendly. And so descending light gun work on Time Crisis 5. Time Crisis 5 should be what? Is it Demule or Technoparrot? So it should work. It should work on Time Crisis 5. I don't think I've seen a video. I haven't personally tested it to actually see the configurations. Again, I know I tested it with Rambo. The sites were a little off, but it can work for the most part, so it should be compatible. So I really don't like to answer questions like that unless I personally test it, because unfortunately, because of the day and age that we're living in, and I have seen some fabricated reviews recently. Um, yeah, so it should work. I know the one game that I know won't work is the Buck Hunter game. I tested that on my Facebook Live. I think it's a demo game, but it does not support any type of mouse or crosshair movement. So I know that one won't work. I think that is a demo game with a Buck Hunter. The one that I did test. I believe it was one I think it was either standalone or one you could get from Steam. Can't remember which one it was, but it wouldn't work because it does not support that. It doesn't matter what it was. It won't work with the Wii Dolphin remote or anything. It just doesn't respond. Any questions? Dirty Gaming, thank you for joining. Ray, Zane, Rockfish, Kelly Pyro, thank all of you guys for joining tonight. If there's any more questions, please let me know. If not, we'll probably wrap it up here pretty soon because we definitely want to make sure that everybody gets some questions. I know this, you know, I usually post late, and usually what happens with me is I spend a lot of my day researching these subjects. I spend a lot of my day researching and doing things all day, and then by the end of the day, I usually get drained by the time it's after I've done my research to make a video. So I'm gonna try to change that because, yeah, I would definitely try to change that and work on that. Um, so just a quick recap. Uh, if you guys had any questions, so this is the new Sinden Supreme Sinden Lightgun menu with auto start, all the PC configurations as far as exposure, your settings, adjusting your axes, your X and Y axes, calibrating the gun can now all be done on a menu and not having to log in through WinSCP. And people thought this was impossible. In fact, the auto start code only took 2 minutes. 2 minutes, guys. And I will say that a lot of work went into it. I won't tell you guys anymore. So but I will be doing a subsequent follow-up video to this and keep you guys posted about all of it. All right. Any questions? Any concerns? I definitely want to thank the people in the community for supporting us. This is why I try to get everyone to support Patreon, because a lot of us work on our own free time, and any small donation or consideration definitely helps when we're putting on projects like this, because it is time consuming. All right, fellas, you guys all have a good night. I'm going to wrap it up here. Thank you guys for tuning in. I will catch you guys next time. Make sure you hit that notification bell, like and subscribe. Please share this video with all of your other friends or people who invested in the Sinden Lightgun, because if they can't get it together officially, we have the community to back us up to make sure we can get the job done. So if you are a representative from the company and you're interested in this menu, please send me a message offline. We can talk business. But you guys have a good night. This is kiodiekin. I'll catch you guys later. Bye-bye.